want to get a lot of people very angry at you, and you're in the health profession, it's fairly simple. Begin to cure incurable diseases.
It would ruin the economy. Billions of dollars. And we live in a medical dictatorship. The big pharma, the huge pharmaceutical companies that make billions on cancer, have everybody in their pocket, from the president on down to the senators, representatives, everybody gets paid.
And of course, it's the pharmaceuticals would lose a lot of money because we're getting people healthy with a non-patentable process, with non-patentable foods, eating something that you don't have to buy from a pharmaceutical company, and that's not something that they want to do.
And they can do that legally because that industry is so powerful. It owns the lobbyists. They own the politicians. They're the ones that create and put into play the policies of healthcare. I'm not making this up. This is real. They run the FDA, the TGA. They do. By their own admission. By their own admission.
Many patients come to me because their doctor has given them a death sentence. Well, can you imagine what program that is into a patient's head?
Correct, and it is precisely mind over matter why so many people die. If the doctor tells them, hey, you're dead in 6 months, and you buy that in your mind, the patients die.
You start killing your patient with the lack of hope.
Out of the thousands of people I've spoke to, many have said that they've been rushed into treatment immediately, sometimes having surgery as soon as the very next day. And there has been little discussion, if any at all, about what their choices are and how to actually heal their body from cancer.
They are being told that they gotta start the chemotherapy immediately, like yesterday, not even today or tomorrow, or they're gonna die soon.
Yeah, that's with closing the sale. These doctors are like storm windows and storm door salesmen, citing, you know what I mean? Oh, you gotta do this right away, man. This will save your life. This is a widow maker, you know, that type of thing. They lie.
There was a study in Göttingen in Germany some years ago where they had women over 80 years of age with breast cancer. 50% of these were operated, had radiation. The other 50% were sent home without any kind of treatment. And who lived the longest? Those who had no treatment at all lived averagely 11 months longer than those who were treated.
I can't tell you how many of my clients come to me and have had mastectomies. That's the removal of the breasts, or double mastectomies. When there is no research that there is any life extension removing the breasts, and these women are scarred for life. That's how medieval conventional medicine is.
The program says that you're not the professional. You don't know about your health. You don't have anything to do with it. It's the professional's opinion that controls your health. Well, then think about it this way. If the professional says that you can't do anything about it, and your belief system has bought into that, then 95% of your habit mind, your subconscious mind, is going to fulfill what the doctor just said, because you've already attributed the doctor as the professional in charge of your health.
So many people think that their doctors know what they're doing. No, they only know what the pharmaceutical industry trained them to know and do.
You can't help somebody if they're not open-minded. You can't help somebody if they know their doctor's right, regardless of the fact that their doctor's wrong. And in many cases, doctors can be correct. It's just that when it has to do with drug-based medicine and cancer, most of what they're taught is wrong.
What we have is an upside-down system in which everybody has this Western idea that there's a drug and we'll have a label for everything, and so the system is badly out of control. 5-minute office visits in which Groupman, who's been the head of internal medicine at Harvard, one of our brighter doctors in the United States, bestseller, his book is called How Doctors Think, and it's frightening because they've proven by eye tracking that within 6 seconds your doctor is not hearing a word that you say. He's already decided within 6 seconds how to get you out of his office and what he's putting into your hand to have completed that visit and have his records bulletproof in case you happen to die. He's doing what everybody else did.
I'm not saying there aren't sincere people within that industry. There are. But the sad part is oftentimes we can be sincerely wrong.
And so the doctors, who, let's be fair, very, very often go into medicine with a desire to help people get well, don't even understand how much of what they're doing is harming their patient more than helping it.
Something's terribly wrong when you treat cancer, the most deadly disease, and your hair falls out and you regurgitate, you vomit. This is astounding. This is truly medieval. Many years from now, people look back at this time and wonder what kind of Neanderthals we were. We are.
And the problem is, the deeper you get into it and get into the real published studies, you find out that cancer isn't even the enemy. You find out that people in the United States and developed countries who are treated for cancer don't even die of cancer. They die of the treatment of cancer. People don't want to hear the truth. Nevertheless, it's the truth.
We commit doctors to follow a procedure and a practice based on an academic awareness that is now dated. And we put the doctor in a very rough place because the doctor can many times have an insight. Yes, your mind and your lifestyle are very important, but I am bound by my standard practice to follow whatever the standard procedure is. And that is where we have a rate-limiting step where health profession is behind leading-edge science, because it takes 15 or 20 years for leading-edge science to penetrate and change the academics of medicine.
For many years, I didn't think that people knew what made them sick, what caused cancer, but I've since come to realize that they do understand about diet, the environment, toxins, even emotions in the mind. But it's just too hard for them to change, to become responsible and become proactive participants in changing their life.
Well, you know, our environment, our internal, our household environment is a major source of some big problems. We get greater toxic exposure from within our house than from without our house. So think about that. We get more toxic exposure by what we're cleaning our house with, what we're putting on ourselves, what we're spraying, what we're freshening the air with, what we are exposed to through the world of the EMFs, all the wireless devices, all the electrical devices, which is creating a condition called dirty electricity, which is impacting our body. There are things that we bring into our home that are outgassing chemicals. Our computers are outgassing PBDE, a flame retardant. They built it into the computers. When it heats up, it outgasses. We have, synthetic flooring, it outgasses. We have clothing that's impregnated with this flame retardant that we are outgassing or wearing and gets into our bodies.
We're putting on lotions and makeup and chemicals on a daily basis, and then we have air pollution and heavy metals and household cleaners, a number of toxins. We're overloaded.
We're surrounded. There's no escape.
And who has not heard that fast food is highly toxic and 100% related to all degenerative diseases, lives either in a cave or is so numbed by all the toxins that they don't realize the danger anymore.
Everybody eats food, and none of us eat a perfect diet, and eventually it catches up with us.
You are what you eat. You eat junk, and your body is junk.
You know, literally everything in the center portion of the supermarket is almost all unhealthy.
All toxins like MSG, aspartame, food colorings, food preservatives, they are found all guilty of having devastating effects on our body, and they are all highly addictive.
I mean, anything that's been heated above about 45 degrees Celsius, even for a short period of time or an extended period of time, is dead from an enzymatic level. And for the most part, a lot of the nutrients in that food have been depleted. Up to 80% of the nutrients have been depleted in foods that have been heated. So fresh, uncooked, raw, whole, natural, organic foods have these range and spectrum of nutrients in place and have the enzymes in place as well. And enzymes are really important because they help take the nutrients out of the food into the cells of the body. So if you don't have any enzymes, it's very difficult for your body to get those nutrients in the places that need it the most.
Each fruit and vegetable that is a whole organic fruit and vegetable has enough enzymes in it, already in it. Say an apple. That apple has enough enzymes in it for our body to digest it without having to take out anything physically from the bank that we were born with. When we cook our food and we overprocess our food, and we cook that apple no longer has its enzymes, the living enzymes in it, for our body to naturally digest it. So the body has to take its enzymes stored in that little bank to digest that particular apple. So when you think about being 40 years old and all of the processed junk that we eat and eating the standard American diet and not having any enzymes in the food, the bank's running empty. The bank is on low, and in many cases, there's nothing left in the bank.
Now, plastics are the #1 pollutant in man today.
Bisphenol A is one of the major causes of prostate and breast cancer. You just touch plastic and bisphenol A exudes.
Many of the chemicals found in the environment, the chemicals found in all plastic bottles, the plastic lining of tin cans, dental sealants, this is called bisphenol A. And bisphenol A is ubiquitous in the environment. If you are eating anything out of a can or drinking any water out of a bottle, you probably have bisphenol A going into your body. And bisphenol A is a very potent hormone disruptor. It's an endocrine disruptor. It acts as estrogen.
It is proven that plastics cause cancer, cause heart disease, and cause diabetes, and most likely obesity. They're gumming up all the cells of the membrane of every cell in our body. They're gumming them up. They're replacing that nice membrane of every cell of the trillions of cells in our body that have over 50,000 receptor sites on there, and it's causing tremendous medical problems.
Sherry Tenpenny and Dr. Eisenstein are two websites that, along with Mercola, have done a lot to bring the knowledge base up so that people understand the complexities of the vaccination. The two sides would be A, that not well proven to do any benefit, and increasingly admitted to do harm. So, I mean, since I'm not allowed to kill people, I don't know why vaccine people should be, but they have a special law in this country that says they can kill and the government will pay for all the dead bodies. This is fact. They have no liability at all. So they have no incentive to try to upgrade. Their incentive is to try to get money. So they're going to keep selling the same crap. It's conceivable that vaccines could one day actually work without having to kill people. but it would take somebody having a real need, which would be they didn't want to pay for the dead bodies.
Vaccines all have a variety of chemicals and preservatives in there. The most notorious one happens to be mercury, which is called thimerosal, which is used as a preservative. And mercury is a neurotoxin that has devastating consequences to our health and absolutely is a heavy metal that drives cancers, and certainly hormone-dependent cancers.
When you get diagnosed with cancer, you wake up to the fact that you're being poisoned and you really want to survive. So you become conscious.
See, toxins were unheard of in 1930. And if you look at the graph of the introduction of toxins, approximately 1930 and really in 1940 to 2010, there's over 83,000 toxins allowed in the environment. They're allowed to be used every single day on our bodies, on babies.
The Google called 10 Americans is enough to depress anybody. In 7 minutes you will learn what is in the average blood of every child born in America today at birth. So they found the names of the neurotoxins, endocrine disruptors, and the names of all of the neurotoxins and carcinogens that are in everybody at birth. The baby is a wastebasket for the mother. So all the toxins concentrate in the baby. So whatever mercury she has in her fillings, whatever she's breathing, whatever she has in her diet, and you cannot escape.
Okay, we're talking, have we done the testing on one chemical? Have we done the testing of the synergistic potential of 200 chemicals, of 10 chemicals in a human body?
So bottom line, we are all poisoned. We're on a poisoned planet, and we're not going to enjoy optimal health unless we do something about that.
And what are we going to do? Wait for the nuclear bomb to hit us one day and say, oh my gosh, now we have to do something?
With the many people that I've spoken to, there's rarely one that hasn't suffered some kind of emotional trauma previously, whether that's fear, loss, depression, anxiety, but it's something that orthodox medicine rarely considers. And yet we know that these conditions, this emotional response, suppresses the immune system.
We know that denied hopelessness precedes cancer.
There's some kind of an emotional event or a period of stress, emotional stress that went on for weeks or months sometimes, or it could be an event like the loss of a child or a difficult divorce, taking care of an elderly relative with Alzheimer's, things that stress people beyond their normal stress, daily stress. This produces cortisol, which you may be familiar with. It's a hormone produced by our endocrine system to cope with stress. It's a very acid substance, and when you get cortisol in your body, you make it more friendly to cancer cells because they like an acid environment. And of course it challenges your immune system to where it's weaker than it should be. And the cancer will get out of control where it may not have otherwise.
Yes, and this has been even shown in experiments. The bullying, for example, that if you do that constant with people, you can see that the levels of the cortisol, the own production of the cortisol in the body rises, and we know that cortisol suppresses the immune system.
It's okay to feel all the feelings. It's very healthy to feel everything, you know, anger, frustration, sadness, everything. But when it becomes chronic, when it becomes the only thing they feel, then there's something wrong. There's no flexibility in that system, and we need to create that flexibility.
Because we assume if there's some chronic, unhealthy emotional state that people continue to feel and experience over time, that it's going to be important for them to look at the beliefs that are driving that emotional state.
There's a number of patients that don't want to make it, and they use cancer as their checkout point.
The most important question is, do you want to live and do you have the desire to live? Then I can proceed. Otherwise, it's hard to proceed.
But everybody wants to live.
No, no, no. Not every person has a desire to live. No. Some people say, you know what, I'm tired and I've lived my life and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You have patients like that.
I have enough people where we have helped reverse disease without reversing the things that are going lousy in their life, that I know that what it does is it knocks things down, and therefore it could be the whole reason somebody dies.
We are constantly getting rid of micro diseases and cancer every single day. Each one of us has 750,000 cancer cells in us, and our immune system is either going after it or it's not, and there becomes an imbalance in the system. But we're all fighting some kind of micro diseases and cancers every single day of our life.
We get cancer cells occurring, cancers, precancers, weird, not abnormal cells. We get them to occur in our bodies, and the immune system is catching them, it's killing them, just like it's catching and killing bacteria and yeast. And we're exposed to a lot of bacteria and viruses and so on that a good immune system can eliminate.
There's a tipping point where the cancer overwhelms the immune system and forms a tumor, because most people don't understand that a cancer tumor is tissue that has been built by the body to surround and wall off malignant cancer cells from the rest of the body. You know, the cancer cells can't build tissue. They're pretty stupid. You know, they don't know what to do except divide out of control forever. But the body's very smart, and it says, oh, whoops, my immune system is not doing what it's supposed to do and controlling these cancer cells. They've gotten out of control temporarily. So I will wall them off with tissue, which forms a tumor. And then, of course, this is detectable because it'll grow gradually as the cells inside it divide out of control. But why does the tumor occur? Well, it occurs because the immune system, which is designed to take care of cancer cells, which grow in our body every day, has been overwhelmed.
Imagine a scale. On one side, you have a T leukocyte, a white blood cell, which is representing your immune system. And on the other side, you have a cancer cell, representing the tumor load in your body. And smack in the middle, you put a brain cell, and we call him Brainy. Now, Brainy decides with all his actions, thoughts, feelings, diet, whatever he does, whether he supports cancer and weakens the immune system, or whether he supports the immune system and weakens and reduces the cancer load. And it's that simple.
But guess what? No one wants to know that. Cancer is one of the richest multi-billion-dollar industries in the world, and there's no focus on what is working, what has been used sometimes for hundreds or thousands of years. So if we found this cure for cancer right now, this multi-billion-dollar industry would fail.
You ask an oncologist what causes cancer, they say, well, the sun and cigarette smoking, and then we don't know. But we in integrative and alternative medicine know, because we're reversing it by getting rid of what causes it. Pull out the poisons, feed the body, and God will heal.
It's amazing how much metastasized cancer, where the cancer doctors have given up completely, has healed itself with the proper changes in diet and supplements. And of course, dealing with the cause of the cancer, which is essential. You rarely can ever reverse cancer without dealing with the cause. And this is why it's so important for people to understand why this happened to them, because in my opinion it seemed very logical that if you understand what caused something, you reverse that, and obviously the situation should get better.
We will have to peel the onion and uncover what the source of your issue is.
People don't want to wake up and realize what's going on. It means they would have to change. It means that they would have to learn to respond, to develop the ability to respond, which is personal responsibility. And we don't want to face that.
When I started lecturing to audiences about the nature of the new biology, sometimes I ended my lectures with a conclusion that was very obvious from the data, and that is, we are personally responsible for controlling our own health. I was very shocked at how the audience would respond. Most of them were very upset that I could come to that conclusion, even though the data revealed that was absolutely true. And I would have to say, why are we so upset with the concept of responsibility? And the answer is, because we have been programmed from childhood to own that we are victims of a world, that what happens to us is not anything with our responsibility. Our belief system is completely tuned into the reality that we are passive recipients of our health in our lives, that things happen to us. And when you believe this as a truth, of course it's very upsetting then to hear a completely different picture that, no, it is our responsibility. And yet the issue is, how are we going to get out of this? And the answer is, get over it. We have to get over the misprogramming that genes control our lives, that forces outside of us control our lives, because the new science reveals this is absolutely untrue.
What if you don't even get cancer? What if you cause it? You're not walking through the airport one day and somebody coughed on you and you came down with cancer.
If you've been diagnosed with a chronic illness, it didn't come out of the blue. It didn't just strike you, an innocent victim, all of a sudden. You have been brewing conditions inside your body and psyche for probably decades.
After you have the lump bump stage, you've had that thing for 7 years. And that's by the time it's big enough for me as a radiologist to say, yeah, that's lung cancer, let's work it up. It's been growing there all that time. And during that time, all I needed to do was lower your stress, maybe settle the war with your wife, or get a different job, or change. I mean, across the board, the body, mind, it works on all levels.
If we're ignorant because our teachers never gave us this information, then we have been operating all our lives from ignorance. And therefore, I can't be responsible if nobody gave me the story of how it worked. But once we know the story of how it works, then responsibility must set in. Because once you know, now you are responsible.
When I took responsibility for my stuff, that gave me power. You know? Because then I can do something about it. If it's coming at me from the outside all the time and I'm totally not in control, that's overwhelming. I have no power in it. I am powerless.
Taking on responsibility is not that easy. Many patients we've talked to say it's not even an option.
Lifestyle changes are really the most difficult to achieve. And it is convincing the patient that unless he does change his lifestyle, he's not going to make it.
And in the case of cancer, I haven't felt that empowered. I have had patients who said, I'm going to go right on smoking, I'm going to live at McDonald's, and I'm going to have my 10 Cokes a day. And I say, have a nice life. I don't want to be involved because I don't like to be part of a failure. So I don't take on cancer patients that will not do the total program.
Yeah. There's a lot of healthy, unhealthy people out there. What I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of people that know everything that don't exactly do it, and that's a problem. You know, when you have you're talking about depression there. I mean, you might know how to eat healthy, you might know what's right for you, but you're like, I just want to eat these chips and sit on the couch and zone out, you know. And that's a really difficult challenge, to have someone shift from knowing it and not doing it over to doing it, because action is really the mother of change. You know, you need to do it in order to get the results you're after.
It's interesting, isn't it? You know, most of us will do everything in our power to avoid the pain of personal change. We would rather avoid the pain of change than get to the pleasure of the result we really seek.
Have you ever wondered why so many people go orthodox first before they go into holistic cancer treatment? The answer is fairly simple. We all know how hard change is. You know, New Year's resolution we popped, losing weight which we didn't manage over years, stop smoking, all the things that we've planned to change in our life which are still the same as we started out with. And that really makes the answer. If I show you a magic red pill, which solves all your problems, yeah, your hair falls out, you vomit, you feel sick, you're depressed, your psyche is completely depressed by the chemical reactions of the tablet, you feel absolutely crap and horrible, but it's convenient. You just take the tablet and you don't need to do anything else. Well, on the other side, a holistic doctor will ask you to exercise, to sweat, to change your diet, to breathe, to live a healthy lifestyle, which means a lot of changes. And that's why every single person will always first consider the magic red pill before they consider change of lifestyle, to change those things which make them sick. If you believe that this is going to kill you, it will. And so for us, our mission is to convert, through information, through hope and through love, our patients from victims into victors of cancer. And being a victor of cancer is a decision, not a happening. What would be the word? Yeah, it's a decision. You can decide today, if you have cancer, you can decide today that you are a victor. That no matter what happens to you, you're going to be victorious over cancer.
The power is within the human being. The power is within everyone to do this. In fact, you know, years ago I came up with cancer is curable now. What are we waiting for? We're always waiting for something else that it's going to be curable when, you know? Well, it's going to be curable when we understand that it's curable right now, you know, inside ourselves, and the decision to get well is a personal decision that can be strengthened and grown and developed with confidence, and that by so doing, it's like deciding to get married. You make plans, you get your dress, you get the caterer, you know, there are things that really start to line up. And it's the same thing with making a decision to get well. Things start to line up.
I think every problem, every discomfort is absolutely an opportunity to overcome the ignorance of our academically indoctrinated minds and lifestyles and begin to look at new possibilities.
A disease such as cancer is not a punishment. A disease such as cancer is a reflection of a belief system. Until you get the cancer, you don't know what that belief system is. The manifestation of the cancer is not that, oh my God, I'm being punished for something. It's just a reflection that your belief systems are not supporting you. So rather than blaming your issues on the cancer, it is far better to understand the cancer is a mirror. It's just telling you that whatever way you are living, whatever beliefs you are living by, are not supportive. So then, rather than going out and damning the cancer and blaming the cancer and getting angry at the cancer, it actually should be taken in a completely different attitude. The cancer is your wake-up call.
The real gift is it's a wake-up call that we have to change, and we have to change right now, and we have to change profoundly, and we have to change permanently.
Cancer patients have to change their lifestyle. They have to, you are now there in your inner environment when you got cancer, so you have to change this inner environment. You have to change something. You can start learning Italian on an evening course. You can make, hvad hedder det her i New Zealand, this bumpy jump, or whatever it's called. You can go mountain climbing, you can do a lot of funny things, but you should change something in your life when you get cancer, for sure. Maybe you should buy a new house, maybe you should buy a new husband, or whatever. But you should change something in your life, for sure.
The easiest way to change something in your life is to find a support team. A team which gives you confidence, certainty, and enough knowledge to stand up against this greedy system which does not want you to think.
Can you imagine anywhere else in your life where you just employ the first person that you were sent to? If you were to employ an architect to help design your house, you'd interview them, you'd find someone who fitted with the style, the budget, and that would meet your needs. And your doctor or the practitioners that you choose to work with is just the same.
If the doctor is not your partner and is not open-minded to everything that could possibly help that patient, then that's not the person you want to be with. If he goes, oh, no, you can't take vitamins. Oh, no, diet doesn't matter. Well, we know in 2010 that diet and nutrition matters because every magazine on the planet, there's been book after book after book, research, validation, beyond, okay? Just on fish oils, there's over 30,000 published research articles. And you tell me that nutrition doesn't matter? Okay, so if someone tells you that, if a doctor tells you that, that is something is not right there.
Every day you read science news, there's breakthroughs every day. So whatever your doctor is telling you is his opinion, and the second opinion is useful, but the third opinion is probably more useful because by that time you're getting used to the music and you can hear it better.
Now, if you're looking for a clinic or a hospital or the clinical setting where you want to get your cancer treated, they need to be addressing you in a complete fashion. I tell people, cancer is not a disease of a body part. It's a disease of the body. Your terrain is in disequilibrium. The body is out of balance. So they must address your human condition mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, every facet, because that is what is required.
And the single best thing I can do to empower the public is very simple. I have never seen a patient in 20 years without turning on a tape recorder, digital, and then I get their email address, or if they don't have one, I will turn it out to them, and they know everything I have said to them in our consultation, whether it's phone or elsewhere. And that, of course, 99% of American doctors may be afraid, but we have to break the barrier. Patients have to start saying, I am shopping for a second opinion. I need to be able to hear what you said. My wife has to hear it, and my girlfriend or my mistress in Mexico wants to hear it too, so I got to be able to email it to her.
A prophet many years ago, Jewish prophet, his name was Hosea, and he said, my people perish for lack of knowledge.
I feel, strongly that after all this 10 years of talking to cancer patients, the only reason people die of cancer anymore in the world is lack of information.
And then it's getting back to common sense. It's getting back to our innate wisdom. I mean, lifting the veil of things is really just getting back to the wisdom that we all have before we've kind of been lulled into this, sleep state. So we have to all wake up again.
But what we want some patients to do is we want to pick up on what Ralph Moss has been trying to spread the word about, which is what I send my doctors to keep them doing an informed consent so that patients know they didn't give up anything when they walked away from that fully insurance reimbursed quackery called chemo that would have taken them out of the opportunity of thinking for themselves during that year that they continue to die. Or that nonsense that the doctor cut out all the tumor so they can wait for 10 years till it explodes in their face throughout their whole body. At any time during that 10 years, all they had to do is do the simple blood test at American Metabolic Testing Laboratories of ultrasensitive HCG and phosphohexoisomerase. It would have been elevated. And they could say, I don't think I got it all. I better see what the other things I do so I keep my cancer at bay so I die of something like being shot by a jealous husband or something intelligent.
Recently, cardiovascular surgeon Dean Ornish in California has revealed a very interesting study on genes. He looked at a whole series of prostate cancer patients, and instead of giving them conventional medical treatment, he helped them by changing their lifestyle, giving them a better diet, giving them processes to meditate, turning their stress responses into more favorable responses, just giving them a way to handle life. What was very interesting is, after several months of just changing the lifestyle and behavior, he looked at the genetic readout of the patients and compared it to the genetic readout before he started the process. He found that 500 genes changed their readout simply by changing lifestyle.
Healing cancer has nothing to do with giving a medicine. If you teach a patient how to avoid toxins, how to detoxify the body, how to replenish the deficiencies, and how to live a healthy, happy lifestyle, you will always succeed.
And that's what all the clinics and doctors do which we have visited. They help their patients to deal with life. They remove the stressors, they power boost the immune system, and they support the self-healing mechanism, and so even reverse end-stage cancers.
I've studied medicine now for 34 years, and we have treatments for cancer that are astounding. Even end-stage cancers are reversible using the system of alternative and integrative medicine, using the best of both worlds.
Yes, you can heal so-called chronic degenerative diseases, so-called incurable diseases. These are supposed to be incurable. Yes, you can heal so-called genetic diseases. It's not a big problem. We've done it. We've got lots of those patients recovered.
We have a number of patients whom we cured, who are now surviving not only over 5 years cancer-free, but over 10 or even over 20 or 25 years cancer-free from advanced cancer, metastatic cancer.
Cancer, the most severely advanced degenerative change of the body, the most serious damage to all the body systems and defenses. If that's reversible, then all the other chronic diseases are reversible, and it's true. That's what we're seeing.
We are, for many cancer patients, in that situation today where they really can live for many years.
Most of our patients have spreading to the liver. You mean you can heal it when it's in the liver? Absolutely. Once the body heals, it heals.
And this brings us right back to where we started, self-responsibility. And yes, I'm afraid we're going to have to go there. It cannot be avoided because things like chemo, radiation and surgery may reduce the imminent threat. But the answer lies within your body's innate ability to heal.
The human body is such a wonderful, beautiful organism. It's so finely tuned. It has such a tremendous power of defenses. If you injure yourself, you burn yourself, you cut yourself, and God forbid you have a fall and you break a bone, and it'll heal. Or somebody comes and breathes some germs at you, and then you get a cold, or you get a flu, or you have some other bug biting you, infection, the body heals.
This ability to heal cannot be purchased. You can't buy it over the counter. No doctor can prescribe it. You can only cultivate it within.
And don't say you can't afford physical treatments. Many of them are actually free of charge, and others cost a fraction of one single chemotherapy. So that's not an excuse.
The first treatment everybody with cancer has to implement into their daily life is exercise. It's free of charge and absolutely critical for your recovery.
Exercise, exercise, exercise. It's just like chemo, it's killing cancer cells, it's stimulating the immune system.
Exercise reduces cancer 50%, okay? It's absolutely, it's not optional. It's not optional. It's mandatory.
We know that exercise is chemotherapy without side effects.
The second exercise is breathing oxygen. You can do that by either walking through a forest while humming a song or by inhaling it from a bottle. It does not matter how, as long as you do it daily.
The whole idea for using the hyperbaric chamber is to saturate the tissues with oxygen and to facilitate the absorption of the oxygen so that the patient can use that in their best help with the defense mechanisms for the immune system, as well as in the facilitation of the detoxification mechanisms that the body needs to use. So for example, the white blood cell operates on what's called a respiratory burst, which requires oxygen in order to provide the cytotoxic, the killing effect of the white blood cell. It's totally oxygen dependent, and so a lack of oxygen is going to take away the defense system of the white blood cell. So by saturating the patient with more oxygen, we're actually arming the white blood cells so that they can defend the body more adequately against infection.
The third exercise in our free of charge cancer cure is sunlight. Light is intelligence and is required in our body not only to produce vitamin D3, but also to recharge you with life force and life energy.
Sunshine. Sunshine passing in to the eyes helps the brain develop the neurochemistry of a solid fabric of emotions. Sunshine and the photons of that light energy overcomes depression. All kinds of mental problems can be remissed by getting into the sunshine.
A big part of any cancer treatment today is to supplement with high doses of vitamin D3. It's definitely important to fill up our empty tanks, but it's certainly no substitute for natural sunlight, because sunlight heals.
Vitamin D is a huge thing that helps with cancer risk and multiple sclerosis and so many things. So in the last couple of years, we started supplementing with vitamin D. But all of a sudden studies say, wait a minute, but if we take so much vitamin D, we see increased arterial calcification. We see increased arterial stiffness. The lifespan is shorter if your levels of vitamin D are high. How is this so good for you if on the upper levels we see all the side effects? Now all of a sudden we're realizing, well, we need adequate vitamin K, because as we take a lot of vitamin D in, the calcium that's brought in, it's not directed properly to the bone and where it's supposed to go, and it goes into the arterial wall. Vitamin K, it was known to be just important for clotting. Now we know it's very important to reduce cancer risk, cancer progression. It helps the cancer cells die. Where's this vitamin K found? Really, lots and lots of vegetables.
They have to immediately stop eating all the foods that their cancer cells love. Gee, what a novel concept. If my cancer cell loves it, I probably shouldn't be eating it. Okay. Then you have to teach them what those foods are. Cancer cells, and this is not an opinion now. This is documented medical fact. Cancer cells are sugar metabolic cells. Cancer cells love sugar. And for any physician that doesn't know that cancer cells love sugar, that physician needs to immediately lose his or her license. And the reason is because they know that the way we find metastases around the body is with a positron emission tomograph, a PET scan. What is a PET scan? You radio label sugar, so we now have radioactive glucose. We inject it into the person's body. The cancer cells go, oh, my favorite food, thank you. They gobble it up. And now the tumors are all radioactive, and they glow on the tomograph, on the PET scan. So it's used in their diagnostic tool, and so for them not to know this is the most ignorant thing that you can possibly have. So don't worry about your food. Yeah, you're dying anyway. We don't know how many months you have left to live. So eat your cookies, eat your candy, have your milkshakes. Don't worry about that. And they just did a PET scan, and they know that they're telling the person to feed the cancer cells and make them as happy as they can be, which is really, really stupid.
We all know sugar is not good for cancer, but unfortunately a lot of good oncologists don't practice that, and the patients have no knowledge of importance of diet. And we all know that sugar is directly affecting the cancer growth and indirectly through insulin resistance, and getting more insulin in their body is encouraging the cancer growth. But usually the oncologists don't want to address that.
And what do oncologists have in their waiting room and their chemotherapy infusion room? Cookies and Tootsie Rolls. When my patient just told me, you cannot have sugar because sugar feeds cancer. We know that a cancer cell has 96 receptor sites and a normal cell has 4.
I have been to hospitals, this real major hospitals that they treat cancer patients, and amazingly when you look at their food menu, you see 5 pages of desserts, and some of them even include wine in their menus.
Alcohol is a no-no. Alcohol feeds sugar. Sugar feeds cancer. That's how cancer eats.
To me, that means that we are pushing them to die faster, quicker, and we are promoting their death. In other words, we are promoting their illnesses.
Cut out all the sweets. They have to stop drinking all of the orange juice and apple juice and grape juice that they think is so much better than the soda, but it isn't because they have just as many teaspoons of sugar as the soda did. I really cut most of the fruit out, actually. I allow only the very high nutrient and very low sugar fruit. So they can have blueberries, and they can have raspberries, and they can have blackberries, and that's pretty much it. If they want an apple, they can have a half of an apple with their meal. So the meal slows down how quickly it converts.
Sugar also makes your body acidic, and your body's pH needs to be balanced so you can heal.
Once the body pH goes into acidity, the blood is unable to transport oxygen, and the whole metabolism goes into a fermentative situation instead of oxidative energy production. And the only thing tissues and cells can do with fermentative energy is grow and split and grow and split and grow and split. That's cancer. And we can now prove that virtually every patient who comes in with cancer has a pH below 7, acidity. And within 1 week on the Gerson therapy, the pH is above 7. And they're healing, and tumors shrink, and pain goes away. Okay? It's that simple.
If we eat lots of coffee and hamburgers and chocolate and sweets and desserts and packaged foods and chemically laden foods, our body's going to be acidic because the body, you're straining the body tremendously. You're asking the body to do unreasonable acts of biochemistry.
What if 99% of all disease is nothing more than an opportunity to discover house cleaning?
You're going to thrive because you're eating, hopefully, about an 80% raw, 20% cooked diet, if you can. I mean, this is ideal. Very, very difficult for a lot of people because you have to change your habits pretty radically, but that type of diet will heal your body, literally. It will heal it because the raw vegetables have the ability to cleanse every organ in your body, to detox it, basically.
The Gerson therapy, first of all, sees and understands disease as coming from two basic major factors, toxicity and deficiency. And in order to heal, we have to deal with both those factors as effectively and fast as possible. Deficiency being the damaged food, the toxic food, the food that's grown on artificial fertilizer, the food that's processed and canned and jarred and pickled and preserved, and all of that is deficient in nutrients. Secondly, toxicity from all the poisons that are sprayed on the soil and in the water and in the air and all of the other toxins. We have to deal with both those factors, and we're able to do that extremely well. We avoid anything that's toxic and unnatural. Everything that's used in the Gerson therapy is organic, freshly grown, freshly prepared. Nothing is canned, jarred, pickled, preserved, frozen, bottled, emulsified, or anything like that. There are no chemical additives. So everything is fresh and living. And then when the body starts to function, it first throws out the toxins and then it kills the tumor tissue. It's full of poison. We have to detoxify. And that's done partly with the juices and partly with the coffee enemas. Now, part of restoring and rebuilding the body, we cannot do fast enough with the organic food. We give, in addition to the organic food, enzymes and nutrients like the liver extract. The liver has to be restored and rehabilitated. Cancer grows quickly, so we got to get ahead of it. And in order to do that, we try to get as many things together. That's the crude liver extract, the pancreatic enzymes, the coenzyme Q10, and so on. So we do, in addition, use nutrients to help to nourish those seriously damaged organ systems, further damaged by the doctors with chemotherapy.
If the body can't get rid of poisons, it's not going to work. It isn't going to work. Now, with some of the programs, such as Charlotte Gerson's program, the things they're doing are so able to help detox that you don't necessarily have to bring in other detox products. Her diet is doing it all by itself. It's just that people have to be stricter than most people are willing to be. And I applaud those people that will go through Gerson, because it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. You are now living Gerson. You know, coffee enemas, 1 to 3 times or more a day, all helpful for detox. That's the only thing she does that's a real true detox. Very important. I try to get people to get coffee enemas. They go, excuse me? What would my doctor say? I go, well, up until about 1975 it was in the Merck manual, but he doesn't know that. So next thing is detox, and since I am trying to get a lot of the people that wouldn't be willing to do what Charlotte wants people to do, I address detox differently. So I do a whole bunch of liver support and kidney support with various products from US, Germany, Belgium that I found over the years are some of the best.
Colon Hydro is the method for detoxification. We know that the biggest part of our immune system is in the intestinal part of our body. With the help of detoxification, we help the immune system that it can concentrate itself on tumor cells, on what is ill, and not on what is inside the body.
Then foot baths, you know, to take the poisons out over the skin by galvanic baths. Then infusions with chelating substances, and of course with substances which have a high antioxidant activity, like vitamin C, like selenium, like procaine, and for instance get rid of the acidity in the system by infusing bicarbonate.
It could be done through lymphatic drainage, through hydrating the patients well, especially if you use alkaline water, or through some hyperthermia and detox system that makes the patients perspire and they get rid of lots of toxic material in their body.
Open the pores, relax, not worry about hair gels, nothing that is chemical. That is part of the regime for our patients.
If you have elevated blood sugar, your mind and emotions are very imbalanced, just with one problem. Just the deficiency in essential fatty acids. Your brain and mind is dulled. Just not having enough oils for the brain. Having deficiency in thyroid hormone or any kind of other hormone, the brain cannot function like it's supposed to function. So just one deficiency will create tremendous havoc on the brain, which controls the rest of the body.
If somebody thinks vitamins don't work, it's because they don't have the knowledge. Bruce Ames has got all the specific papers out to prove that the level of nutrients in some people, you might never function optimally without 100 times more niacin. So there are these unique things that nutrients can do. So if anybody says that nutrients are a waste of time, they're missing it.
And having a vitamin in a pill is almost like having a magic meal, like the Jetsons, add water, But I think that these measures have come about because we need to find a way that we can rebalance. Our body is so far out of whack, we need to rebalance it. And then once we're at this point, if we can then return to eating as sustainable and organic, as fresh as possible, then we're able to maintain optimal health quite easily.
And our president is Dr. Jean Driscoll. She's a radiologist at the University of Kansas Medical School, and she's actually got the full FDA approval for us to be treating breast cancer with vitamin C.
For example, also with cancer cells, what we're doing here in the center is we're providing patients with intravenous vitamin C, and then we're potentiating the effect of the intravenous vitamin C by putting them in the hyperbaric chamber. And so the tumor, as it's taking up the large amounts of vitamin C, then can't process the hydrogen peroxide, and so it basically poisons the mechanism of the cell. By poisoning the mechanism of the cell, we're creating an apoptotic mechanism, killing off the cancer cells themselves. So vitamin C then can actually have a tumoricidal effect besides an immune white blood cell potentiating effect.
And so there are two oxidizing agents in high-dose vitamin C that I use on everybody. When nothing else is around, grab vitamin C. Take as much as you can. But vitamin C always causes intracellular increase of hydrogen peroxide because particularly the cancer cell, the cancer cell is such a hog for sugar. it's got so many sugar receptors, and it gets fooled. It thinks the vitamin C is sugar, and so it just takes it in. And so you got a great setup. Because C is still the quickest way for people who don't understand anything else to stay alive. It's not a cure, but it buys you the time.
One of the things that makes us sick is undigested protein, because the proteins, and this is Bruce Lipton is a wonderful cellular biologist, and he says the collection of undigested proteins on our cell membranes is what causes us to be sick, basically. And most of that comes from cooked food in some form.
Well, the work that, again, William Donald Kelly did on enzymes, and which is now being continued forward with even NIH approval in some cases on pancreatic cancer and getting better results than chemo ever has, is very high dose protein digesting or pancreatic type enzymes that it in whatever way is often able to digest the exterior protection that the cancer cell or tumor, actually not the cell, has put on itself. When it's just a cell, it can get gotten easily. Once it becomes a tumor, it starts protecting itself. And then the second are specific targeted immune system products. So I have maybe 40 or 50 different products that really would be looked at as immune system products. I've got 7 or 8 different mushrooms, 2 or 3 different herbs, a couple of other different types of combinations, which absolutely increase the body's ability to do what we want it to do, and we bring in the ones that are targeted to that individual.
A very important treatment to reduce tumor load and to boost the immune system, which has hardly any side effects, is hypothermia. It's what we call artificial fever, which would be the natural healing reaction of the body if all systems would work well.
With whole body hypothermia, we treat mainly patients who have advanced cancer with manifestations in the bones, the lungs, the liver. So that these are cases, where you cannot achieve enough with the local hypothermia. Then you do whole body hypothermia, and this is combined, of course, with low dose chemotherapy and insulin potentiated. And the success rate is very high, especially in, let me say, advanced ovarian cancer, breast cancer, or like him, in prostate cancer, we can do sometimes miracles.
And that's how it works. It penetrates through the skin and reaches under the skin. It reaches the small blood vessels, the capillaries, heats up the blood there because the energy is absorbed there. And then by heating up the blood flows back into the body, and so gradually the body core temperature rises.
All our patients, before they enter whole body treatment, they are prepared and primed for whole body treatment. They underwent a biological program, detoxification, bring up mineral status. We fill up sufficient depots of zinc and selenium IV. We use high dosed vitamin C to improve the entrance, the initial conditions before we start with whole body treatment. And this program is continued, will be continued after whole body treatment. So the amount of toxic substances after whole body treatment in most cases are very well under good control.
It is well tolerated from the patients, even if they are weak, because it is like a longer treatment in the sauna. If you give general heat to the body, there are substances from tumor cells are being produced on the wall of the cell, and with this the immune system can find the tumor cells more specific, more early, and can attack them.
That means, in contrast to conventional medicine, where you not only hit the cancer, also hit the healthy tissue. You have here a big difference. You hit only the cancer tissue and support the healthy tissue by doing their work.
The department of local hypothermia or local regional hypothermia, that means we are heating up organs or areas of the body.
As you see, the patient is relaxed, has no pain during the therapy. The therapy is about for 60 minutes.
This electrode sends the radio frequency through the body, especially in this case through the liver. And if you have metastasis in the liver, then these waves are caught and converted into heat.
So here on this, in this gentleman, we see a brain treatment. The plates are being put parallel to both sides of the brain.
So it means the idea, heat up a little, the tumor cell will metabolize much more. If metabolizes much more and no oxygen more, no nutrition more, then fermentative way, it's like you are doing your beer or wine or something, it's a fermentative way of the metabolism. So producing fermentation products, which are acidic products, and the acid will kill the tissue. It's called acidosis.
There are many studies showing that the heat creates conditions where the immune system works better. So the local hypothermia does not weaken the immune system, but for example, it helps to develop heat shock proteins on the surface of the tumor cells, making them more visible for the attacks of the immune system, which is a good factor.
This is a big difference if you compare to radiation. If you radiate, then you kill cancer tissue, but you kill also surrounding tissue. But the surrounding tissue, the matrix, is very important for the immune response, for the immune attack, for the blood supply, nutritional supply, whatever, And if you kill this off, then you don't have all these positive things. Why? Because we insert a catheter into the prostate, and then this electrode here is located in the center of the prostate, and the catheter is fixed, by blowing up a balloon, and then this electrode is connected to this machine. See, here's a connector, and then it's the same system. This electrode becomes an emitter, and it emits a radio wave through the prostate, so that the prostate is heated up to 4850 centigrades. Then the treatment is 3 hours. That means for 3 hours we heat up the prostate, and after these 3 hours, the cancer, wherever it is located, because it's a cell-focusing system, I explained this, goes in apoptosis. And then we give this patient for 6 months a hormone modulation to be sure, that there is no stimulating effect from the androgens. And we stop this, and we have done I can show you, we have done since 1992 thousands of such patients. We did not have to do surgery in a single one. We have most of the patients, they are free for the next 10 years, that after this treatment they return, for aftercare, but they need no treatment, only the health program.
I mean, ozone is an excellent example, because ozone is used all over Germany, and it's very well known. It kills cancer cells, it kills viruses, it kills bacteria. In the United States, I have a couple of doctors that I can refer people to for ozone that I know of, and they make it very clear to me, make certain you know these people well. It's not a brand new patient or anything, to make sure you understand, because even though what they're doing is totally legal, it doesn't stop the medical board from investigating them and pulling their license, even though it's not illegal to do it.
Together with the infusion the patient are receiving ozone treatment. We do that in a type of blood wash. So we take 100 milliliter of blood from the patient and enrich it with ozone, and then we have it. The patient has it back as an auto transfusion.
The primary things that cause people toxins that are extremely toxic, 1,000 times more toxic than just normal bacteria, are root canal filled teeth and cavitation sites in your jaw where you've had wisdom teeth removed. And not just wisdom teeth, but any extraction can cause this. But generally what it is necrosis of the jawbone, where the infection that is there when you have a tooth removed, frequently the infection is of the ligament that surrounds the tooth and holds it into the jaw. So when the jawbone grows back over this hole where the tooth has been, it doesn't completely close. And this is what's called a cavitation, which means simply a hole in your jaw which is infected, and it becomes like gangrene, literally. It's an infection in your bone. Every root canal is infected just by the nature of it being a root canal filled tooth. The result of that is simply this becomes a factory for anaerobic bacteria, which are extremely toxic. They are bacteria that can survive without oxygen, without the circulation, and they put out something called thioethers, which can literally get from the dentin, which is where these bacteria live inside the enamel. The portion between the enamel and the center of the tooth is called dentin, and it's full of millions of little tubules where these bacteria can live, and they thrive there, and they put out this gas, and it goes literally through the enamel of the tooth and down through the root of the tooth into the jawbone, and the circulation of the blood through the gum and the jaw, and it gets into your body, and it completely circulates to all organs in your body. And once you get challenged in any way with any kind of a emotional challenge or some other challenge to your immune system, this toxin load gets overwhelming.
Our food is also a combination of molecular switches which work on the genes. Of course, some of them are in concentration which are too small to have the right effect. Our brain is switching genes and on and off constantly. When we talk, we are continuously switching on and off genes. So the epigenetic is ruling the show. And if you silence the genes which are causing cancer progression and also some other diseases, then you can eliminate the disease. And then if you activate the genes which are protecting you against the disease, like for instance tumor suppressor genes in case of cancer, then you should prevent cancer coming back. But it's a constant surveillance. For instance, you get rid of one cancer, then perhaps if you are not doing the right thing, 10 years later or 20 years later, you develop another cancer. So this means that you need to continuously watch what are you doing, especially in the world in which we are living now, when we are surrounded by numerous factors which can change the expression of the genes. And of course, you can help protect yourself by healthy lifestyle, exercise, proper diet, good brain activity. But also in the future, I'm hoping that it can be done by simply screening what is our genetic profile at this moment and finding out if we have some abnormal activity of the genes. And if we do, modify our diet, do the test again to find out if this is corrected. Keep it in the harmony, okay? Keep it in a proper balance.
So what are our hormone harmonizers? Well, it's food. It's nutritious food. It's organic food. It's your vitamins. It's your protein. It's your minerals. It's your essential fatty acids that you get from things like fish oils and flaxseed oils, nuts and macadamia oil and walnut oil, coconut oil, olive oil, but not the rancid oils, not the bleached, white, smellless oils that are found in supermarkets made from safflower and soy and sunflower, canola. These are really bad oils. So we need the healthy oils. We need to drink purified, filtered water. We need to be getting good quality sleep. We need to be out exercising. We need to have time in the sun when we expose our body without any toxic sunscreens, which are so toxic they actually can fill our body with hormone disrupting chemicals right there.
If you compare classical therapies, you see that every time when a substance is not natural, you have side effects from this therapy which are also unnatural. For example, a chemotherapy. The chemotherapy is destroying cells. This is known, but it destroys the tumor cells and the good cells, the cells which we need. Such a therapy you will not find in nature. Natural therapies are very selective. There are extracts from black cumin which are effective against pancreatic cancer cells, also against colon cancer cells, also against melanomas, where you have no side effect. So you can compare these substances with chemotherapies on tumor cells in the lab. You see the same effect, you see the same cytotoxicity, you see that the same amount of cells, of tumor cells are being killed. But if you give it to a human as a cancer therapy, you will not have the same side effect like the substance you compared before. And this is very interesting, and this is special for nature, I think.
The cancer has insulin receptors, and the cancer has much more insulin receptors than the normal cell. So if you eat sugar and your pancreas produces insulin, then the insulin pushes the main portion of the sugar into the cancer. Because the cancer is saying, I need it and I want it, and takes much more of the sugar than the normal cells. And approximately at 50 milligram percent when the sugar is down, then you know the tumor has all doors open. And if you give it this phase between 50 and 30, the small amount of chemotherapy, and almost all chemotherapy goes into the cancer. It is a sort of specific application to the cancer. Then we bring the sugar up, and then the patient is brought to the hypothermia, and then we give, to this loaded, with chemotherapy loaded cancer, we give hypothermia. And then after, let me say, 1.5 hours, the hypothermia, the tumor is destroyed, or let me say damaged. And this works almost in all cancers. We have excellent results in brain. We have excellent results in pancreas. We have excellent results in lung and sarcomas. Not to talk about the others, just to mention a few of the difficult to treat cancers.
Because if a cancer cell has more than 6 cancer cells distance to a blood vessel, it will not get nutrition enough and it will die. So those tumors, they will grow in the periphery and fall together in the middle, so they do not become smaller, they're bigger. So that can go on for 10, 20, 30 years, maybe it will never grow. But one day it happens for many, all those who get a cancer tumor, that these tumors start to produce growth factors, VEGF, FGF, PGF, and these growth factors are going down to the blood vessel here, to the receptor on the blood vessel here, all the receptors just like a keyhole, and they're attaching themselves to these receptors. And then they are causing some specific biochemical events in the wall here of the blood vessel, and one day we see this process. A new vessel is starting to grow in the direction of the cancer, and that's what you see here. Now it has established contact with the cancer tumor. And of course not only one vessel, but many vessels. So now the tumor gets something to eat all the time. So now the cancer really starts to grow bigger than 1 millimeter. And that process here, what you're seeing here, is called angiogenesis, a production of new blood vessels from the existing blood vessels. This process, we give small doses of chemotherapy every day, like a metronome, that's why it's called metronomic. Low-dose chemotherapy is attacking the blood vessels, inhibiting this process of producing new blood vessels, as we see here. That's why we give cyclophosphamide 50 milligram daily. That's why we give that in combination with other angiogenesis inhibitors. We have a lot of angiogenesis inhibitors today, like for instance green tea, just to mention one. You could use at least 500 different angiogenesis inhibitors.
It's obvious we're living in times of great change. People are no longer satisfied with the old system. And it's these people that are not only improving their quality of life, but changing the system.
Every single patient that I've seen in 2010, they've come to me open-minded and in the process of transformation. Because as you said, diet is one of the biggest things, because if you grow up on Burger King and McDonald's and macaroni and cheese and French fries, you know, you learn to love that, and it's addicting food. We're all addicted to that food. And so people now have come to me and they go, now they're juicing. Okay, nobody juiced 5 years ago. No one with cancer came to me and said, oh yeah, I'm juicing, I'm doing coffee enemas, and I'm doing all this stuff. But normal, average Joe people, every single patient, without fail, this year, 2010, has said they've changed their diet. And they're doing good things, great things. I mean, juicing is not easy. I mean, once you get it organized and you get your Vitamix or your juice, and your wheatgrass maker, it's not that difficult. But to make that 180-degree turn is for me, and it's miraculous, and makes my job easy. So I know whatever I'm going to say, they just do it.
To actually employ the mind as a healing device, you have to recognize that there are two parts to the mind, the conscious and the subconscious. They function in entirely different ways. The conscious mind is a creative mind. The subconscious mind plays habits, push the button, play the response. Well, the relevance about this is that we used to think that if you become aware in your conscious mind of what the problem is, this will automatically translate into the subconscious and change the behavior. We now find that this is absolutely untrue, because the minds operate in a different process and learn by a different process. So the relevance of this is very simply this. The conscious mind can learn by reading a book or watching a television or hearing a person give a lecture, because that is the way the conscious mind creates knowledge. But the subconscious mind is a habit mind. It is the mind that learns from repeating things over and over and over again until we learn it, so we can do it blindfolded, so we can do it without thinking. And the two minds don't talk to each other in the same way. That is why you can read a self-help book. Your conscious mind will become totally aware of what the contents are. I can give you a test on the meaning of the self-help book, and you could pass it with flying colors. And then I say, now that you've understood this new book, has your life changed? And the answer is almost inevitably no. And the reason is, well, the conscious mind can become aware through this process of learning, but the subconscious mind is the habit mind. Unless I make a habit out of it, it doesn't learn.
So therefore, it's essential that you create healthy habits and repeat them over and over and over again to imprint them on that subconscious mind. And it's these healthy habits that help to enhance good health.
To imprint healthy habits, it takes usually 6 to 12 months. In order to be automatic, they need to be hardwired into your brain. And that needs time, repetition, and motivation.
There are actually two forms of motivation. One is the painful one, which is that gremlin with the needle which picks you in your butt and you move forward in order to survive. You change lifestyle habits in order to survive. The other one is inspiration, and that's a lot more joyful. So search for a community which does healthy cooking, healthy lifestyle, exercise, and be inspired by them. Join in. It's tenfold nicer to achieve the same outcome, but without the pain.
That the healthiest thing you can possibly do is to have passion, something that you're passionate about, something that gives you a spirit of joy. It makes you happy. You get out of bed and your feet are just got happy feet and you just want to go. You just want to be about this thing that you're excited about. If you have passion in your life, the studies show that that excitement and that passion of living in that state can overcome the damage of toxic relationships, a crappy diet, the fact that you don't walk or get into the sunshine and you don't drink enough water. That's how powerful passion can be in people's lives. It's the most critical thing that you have to maintain longevity and a healthy state.
Don't do it. Don't do anything to not die. Don't drink your juice so you won't die. Take your supplements so you won't die. Eat an organic diet so you won't die. Meditate so you won't die. Forgive everyone so you won't. Don't do a thing to not die. Do everything to live. By all means, drink your juice, eat a fabulous organic diet, take your supplements, go for that run, exercise, do whatever you can, not so you won't die, but so you'll have lived today well.
If your mind is filled with chemical, neurotoxins or pharmaceutical drugs which have deadly side effects on your mind, you cannot have joyful or happy thoughts.
We're lucky in that sense that when they're going through that physical detox aspect, our guests become very vulnerable in a sense. So it's easier for them to connect with emotions that have been stored up, or harder for them to keep them down. So when we start talking about that, there's a lot of beautiful emotional release on their part, things that they, something that might have happened that they never really grieved or cried about here during that period of time where they're detoxing. It comes up and it's so easy and it flows. In a way, it really makes our work so much easier because it's not chipping away at their defenses. As they're detoxing, those emotional barriers come down and it's easier for them to actually show those emotions. And when when it subsides, then it's easier to start rebuilding and re-signifying, giving a new meaning to all these different things.
We see what we recognize as a healing reaction when the body lets go of toxins and so on, and tumors start to shrink and pain starts to go away. We call that a healing reaction. We also see a mental healing reaction. When those toxins leave the brain and they begin to lose this negativity, okay, we see men as well as women going into crying jags, sometimes lasting for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day, usually only one day. And you can't console them. They don't know why they're crying, but they're letting go. And all the pain, just a cancer diagnosis is not exactly fun. All of that blackness that's in their minds, let's go. So we work very intensively with the mind. Not that we get a psychiatrist coming in, or a counselor, or anything like that. But the therapy clears the brain cells. After all, what do you use for thinking and planning and ideas and looking forward or being depressed? You use your brain cells, right? They're just as poisoned as the rest of you if you have cancer, if and when you get chemo. That's even known as chemo brain.
And so this whole thing of food and its connection to the mind is that the body literally is simply an outgrowth and a replication of the brain. This is the command center. Every time you take a food in, the brain identifies and interprets smell, taste, touch, sounds, everything about that. And then what today we would call the nutritional components. Nutrition means process of light. Light, no doubt, just as they taught anciently, is intelligence. Plants take light in, and through today what we would call photosynthesis, synthesize from light the intelligent messages that our brain can identify and heal and repair the entire house.
A great way to gain this understanding is to not only detox your physical body, but to meditate. And meditation is essentially detoxing your mind.
We often say to people when they're having a panic, come to your senses. And we say that for a really good reason. Your body is always here now. Our minds are all over the place. Our minds are forever jumping 5 seconds, weeks, months, years into the future. 5 seconds, weeks, months, years into the past. So one of the most effective ways of bringing your awareness out of the future, out of the past, is simply to come to your senses.
When a person is dealing with chronic health issues, usually the first thing to go is that mind-body connection, that connection. So they want to be as disconnected from their body as they can. And it makes sense because they're experiencing pain. They might feel let down by their bodies. So that is one of the first things we try to teach them, is how to reconnect with their body through this very simple and very safe, and that's the key word, safe exercise or meditation. So it feels safe to connect with the body when you're sending joy and gratitude. And it feels great for them. It feels great for them.
And we all know that relaxation improves your immune system. We all know that the less stressed we are, the better immune system we are going to have.
I think we all need to be meditating or do some sort of relaxation, because stress is a driving force to hormone disruption and to suppressed immune system and everything that leads to chronic illnesses. So relaxation exercises, meditation, yoga, tai chi, anything that lets us get into a peaceful, relaxed state we're in the moment is vital. It's an important hormone harmonizer.
Now, many would say in meditation you will come back to yourself, but it's very difficult when your mind is in that constant brain noise to sit and meditate. Now, Dr. Haller explained that very nicely. He said, imagine your soul to be a shy little girl, which the more you interact with the world, hides and is fearful to approach you. So you will never be in touch with your soul. But when you do something which is quiet, which is silent, which is joyful, which is melodic, which is in harmony in movements, that's when your soul is attracted to you. She will come forth, she will peek over your shoulder while you do some painting, some drawing, some art, some music, and she will start to reunite and build that trust that you need to be in touch with your soul. And that's why most of the clinics that we have visited have art, have music, have dance, have meditation, have all those things integrated into their healing process, and it's incredible what kind of results that type of healing brings in the whole healing program. When you talk to someone who went through the process of cancer, they will come, "Cancer healed my life. Cancer helped me to repair the relationship with my parents, with my husband, with my children. It helped me to learn about my body, how to nourish my body, how to care for my body. It helped me to meditate. It helped me to relax." There is many things that cancer brings into your life, or any kind of problem brings into your life. And that's the secondary benefits. And to understand that, and to understand how we can see these beneficial results up front, right from when the problem starts, that's what's called emotional intelligence. And as soon as you learn to see that, the problem dissolves into nothing.
I think that the secondary benefits are a huge piece of understanding what I would consider the treatment. I mean, that's the treatment plan. It's all drawn out for you. If you start to really understand the conscious and the unconscious, because a lot of the most important secondary gains are the unconscious ones. You know, because I would say that, you know, cancer solves problems that the psyche couldn't figure out how to solve, okay? And if we can appreciate the wisdom in that it's actually a gift. It's actually, you are loved so much in this universe that you're given help to figure out solutions for something that you couldn't figure out by yourself, quite frankly.
There was one cancer patient during therapy looked at me and he said, "I am so grateful for what I have because I learned so much." Normally it's a reflection and looking back and saying, "Thank you for the experience. It wasn't that pleasant, but thank you." But but I have seen in the midst of it somebody saying, "I'm grateful." And if we can just foster that attitude more, I think we would heal faster.
You shouldn't be so unhappy to have cancer because it's very fascinating. And when you interview cancer patients 2 years after they got cancer, I think it's a figure like 80% saying, "That was the best thing which have happened in my life that I got cancer. Now I'm a completely new person. I learned so much through this cancer that actually I'm very happy I had the cancer."
Very, very true. I've had patients tell me that cancer is the best thing that ever happened to them.
It was when he sort of adopted this new belief system and went on a nutrient program, got off all his medications, lost a lot of weight, got his life back, everything's back in order. And it's about sort of 3 years now since he sort of cured himself from these horrible illnesses, that he looks back on his life and he says, I was designed, this illness came into my life for a reason. It was there to help me learn and to grow and become more. And I think coming from a person who never really believed in natural approaches to healing, to say that sort of proves to me that illness and cancer, whatever illness for that matter, is an opportunity for us to learn and to grow and become more. And yeah.
But I do think those of us that can get the problem and even entertain a little bit, that there's purpose with it and it's there to grow and learn and help us, you know what? I think the quality of our life is better and the quality of our health is better as a result, if we can see things that way.
And only when we take all of that in consideration and all of that is being assessed and treated, then we can talk about true health or true healing. Yeah, because what we found and what we know in psychology and in spirituality, if the mind is not connected to the spirit, then the shifts or the changes that a person needs to do for the long-term healing won't happen. You know, if their mind is in that same rut, if they're still craving the same unhealthy foods or having the same unhealthy habits, it's not going to happen. You know, it's not like a magic pill. It's the long run. And when the mind changes and it connects with their essence, their true self, that's when we find a person has the best chance to really become healthy, truly healthy.
So you're not your body, you have one. It's your job to nourish it, rest it, exercise it, and fluff it up and make it feel good. You're not your mind, you have one. It's your job to quieten it down and keep it in good company. You're not your feelings, you have feelings. And it's your job to become aware of what is this that I'm feeling, or how am I going to express it in a way that won't wound myself or anyone else. So that from here on in we can anchor our sense of self in our consciousness, in our awareness, in our spirit. And from that place take responsibility, which is our ability to respond to the fact that we are enmeshed in the physical.
People can call it spiritual, like a aha moment, but something in whatever that is, and perhaps it's from having the diagnosis itself, that allows them to see their life in such a different way and gives them such a different permission to see things, change things, view things, and relate differently in their world. Shifts their very core being.
I point this out to people I talk to all the time, that whatever happens to you here, your family's going to benefit from this. You know, you've got a wake-up call. You've got the cancer symptoms that are a wake-up call for you. But think about all of the advantages your family is going to enjoy from this, learning it at a much younger age than you did about what's necessary, you know, to keep our bodies healthy.
What I've seen is not only for us, but there is a benefit for everybody who's involved with us. How do we relate to each other? You know, what is my learning out of that as a caretaker, as a friend, as somebody who's involved in the treatment? I mean, what an honor, somebody coming here and saying, I trust you enough that in my life, basically, because that's what the perception is that maybe you can guide me. I mean, it's the greatest honor I know, that somebody allows me to touch them, you know?
People demand what they want and they'll get it. I mean, all stores now, every store, Target, Walmart, they're all offering organic foods because people are saying, this is what we want, this is what we have to have. And so all of the Costco's, all the companies now here in the United States are offering healthy foods. Even I saw at Starbucks, Starbucks has raw food now when you check out. And I was like flabbergasted. That just happened in the last month. They have raw food snacks and pure fruit, things for the kids, things that they didn't have literally a month ago.
So we have the power of, as individuals, to change the system. You know, supply and demand. The only thing that ever changes in economics is when the demand changes.
The benefit of this system is that the people have an ability to vote every day that they make a decision, and I think that is a really powerful. We like Warrington and I like to call it voting with your shopping trolley. Yeah. As you go shopping each week, if you choose organic food, if you choose biodynamic food or food that's been grown in a sustainable way, local food, so you're supporting local farmers and local produce, and you're eating in season, so it's in balance with your body, and recognising those aspects of how we as humans interact with our ecology. So as more people demand healthier food, more organic food, more sustainable food, and food with more nutrients and less toxins, more industry revolves around creating high quality food. And so I think that's a really great way, or as a microcosm example, to make the best out of a not so great situation or a not so great system we've created for humanity, which is this capitalistic system.
Well, the question about how long will this change take place, and the answer is how serious the crisis is. As crises mount, time changes. That when we are really up against the wall and we don't have 40 years for change, then change will have to happen much faster. So crisis is the drive force of evolution, and the crises that we're facing are causing us to make changes that we don't have 40 years to wait anymore. In 40 years, if we continue what we're doing, we'll be really on the edge of human extinction on this planet. Science has already told us within 40 years, the fish that we use for food will be fished out of the ocean. So imagine a world in 40 years where we don't even have ocean to feed us anymore. A completely different world. We don't have the time. Crisis will accelerate change, and we are now in a very rapid acceleration of new vision, new belief, and new models of health.
A lot of people don't even like to mention the word cancer because they associate it with death. I'm here to tell you that cancer does not equate death, and that you can reverse cancer, and you can live with cancer for a very long time with excellent quality of life. We have patients that were told that were going to die in 6 months or a year. They're alive after 20 years, and some of them still have cancer. So cancer does not have to be a death sentence, and there are many options for patients out there, if they study sufficiently, for them to live with cancer or even reverse it.
Anybody ever tells you your body turned on you, slap them in the face and walk out. Your body will never turn on you. Your body loves you. You have 10,000 trillion cells, and they all have a job to perform, and they love performing it.
And if you help along and support your body's innate ability to heal, cancer is curable now.